Hello, welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. We have another 3 stories for you today. If I get penalized for 1 day, then I will be out for 3. My work hours are 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. No exceptions, you got it. And fired. In 2 weeks. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Alright, let's get started. Our first story. If I get penalized for 1 day, then I will be out for 3. The maliciousness is small but has a great personality. So recently, I posted about my malicious compliance that I was involved in back in high school at Ingalls. I have since graduated from high school and college and now work at a different job. The job I am currently working at does not have the best atmosphere, and a lot of people do not like it for various reasons. It is very obvious, like most places, that they do not care about you and treat you as a number. Well, about a month ago I got sick, allergies and changing weather, which typically happens at this time of year for me. I missed a day of work, and because it was not scheduled UDO or PTO, I had to take an occurrence, which basically is a point against me, and if I get to 5, I will face disciplinary action all the way from a write-up to termination. This number resets on the anniversary of your starting. Well, I am the only programmer because the previous programmer quit. Well, when I missed that day, I received an occurrence. I came to work because my supervisor needed me to show a company who bought our old machine how I programmed it. I still did not feel 100% but was no longer running a fever, so I obliged. By the end of my 12-hour shift, I felt like shit and felt worse. I told my supervisor and he said, "Well, take tomorrow off, but it will be another occurrence." This kind of pissed me off because, due to their rules, you can miss 3 days in a row and it is only 1 occurrence. But if you miss Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and go to work Tuesday and Thursday, those are 3 separate occurrences because you came back. So I said screw that and came to work the next day feeling sick but not having another occurrence. I could have used UDO or PTO, but I had recently passed my 90 days and I had maybe 4 hours of both, which would not cover my shift anyway. So fast forward to the present, as in a week ago, and I probably got a stomach bug. My immune system is not that good and my wife works in pediatrics, so she is always bringing me new things to try and build my immune system. So the week that I got the stomach bug, we got a new machine to replace the one we sold to another company. A representative came out to train the operators and show the new software. Unfortunately, when he came, I had my head in the toilet. So I called out, which now makes it my 2nd occurrence. The next day, still not feeling the best, I did not go to work. That is still only 1 occurrence. On the 3rd day, I really could have gone to work, but after 2 days of feeling like shit, I really wanted to get rest and be well recovered. So I came back on the 4th day to find out that they had to pay this representative a good bit of money to keep him here until I came back so I could learn the new software. Which made my boss, the plant manager, mad. He actually came to me and asked why I was sick for 3 days and if it was really 3 days of sickness. I told him the truth. I could have come back 1 day to get that training, but I was afraid the next day I would have had to miss it. Which means I would get 2 occurrences. So instead, I took the safe route and gave my body 3 full days of recovery, so I won't risk it. This obviously made him upset, and now he and my supervisor are aware that if I am out sick, it will always be 3 days, if I can afford it. Our next story. My work hours are 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. No exceptions, you got it. So, I work in the entertainment sector in an office setting. Sometimes the work around here slows when we get ahead on projects. Some of us live 45 minutes to an hour away from the shop, so we would arrive a few minutes late and leave 5 to 10 minutes early to beat the traffic and not watch the clock. There are times when you come to a checkpoint in your work and it wouldn't make sense to start up the next part since you leave in 10 minutes. The vice president of the company said if we keep doing this we will be written up. That we should arrive at our desks at 8:30 a.m. and not leave until 5 p.m. We'd all answer phones and respond to work emails until 5 p.m. Myself, I would return calls and emails until 7 p.m. on the weekdays and monitor my email over the weekend. Once the VP shifted to such a rigid stance on work hours, we did as well. My email notifications are muted from 5:01 to 8:30 and completely turned off on the weekends. I showed my coworkers how to do the same thing via their Outlook. Now, we all leave at 5 but refuse to do any work outside our scheduled hours. The VP is famous for sending emails and texts after work hours and has become frustrated that he doesn't hear back until the next day, or maybe even the following Monday. It absolutely burns him up. He said we should be monitoring our emails after work in case of an emergency. I simply said what he said. My office hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., nothing more, nothing less. So, over 15 minutes of work presence, he has lost all outside work hour support. Everyone refuses to answer emails after 5 or on the weekends. He hates it but still hasn't budged. It just keeps saying how we need to be more company focused. I was. Until you decided that my leaving 10 minutes early was an issue, I decided that I would follow his example. 8:30 to 5. You get what you wish for. And our last story. Fired. In 2 weeks. I hope this story isn't too long. It's a little convoluted. I worked for 5 years as a federal contractor and eventually rose through the ranks, through blood, sweat, and tears, to a low-level supervisor. I managed a team of 13 working on 2 federal contracts. Both contracts were new, and I was supposed to make them successful so the contracts would be renewed. This started right before COVID. Even before the poop hit the fan, my second contract was going badly. The agency flooded us with work, and my boss repeatedly refused to ask them to slow it down. That was literally his only job. As a result, late work began piling up and costing the company lots of money. We did our best to keep up, which in reality meant a ton of unpaid overtime for me. Then COVID hit, and things only got worse. My staff asked almost daily if there would be layoffs, and my boss's response, to them, was "We don't know." To me, the answer was that my job was secure, but the others weren't. If the contract failed, he said, I'd have a place on another team. Obviously, the contract failed. My boss personally fired me and, unbeknownst to me, most of my team. I learned who was staying and who was going by talking with each of them personally. No one knew what was going to happen to them until it happened, and they were all shocked that I'd been fired as well. This was August 2020. Panic ensued. My boss, who until that day I'd considered a very good friend, had the stones to call and ask me if I'd help him end the contract on a high note. I got fired 2 weeks before my official last day, because that company is run by sadists. I told him I'd do my job. As a proud Slytherin, I immediately began doing everything I could, within the rules, of course, to send my fired staff home in the best shape possible. We all knew our unused PTO would cash out, but sick time wouldn't. Everyone was sick those last 2 weeks, and my boss ended up doing most of the work himself. I also sent a ton of people to work from home with COVID-like symptoms so they could use their time to interview for jobs, etc. I was immediately hired by another federal contractor, and I brought my best former employee along with me. Since then, she and I poached about a dozen employees away from our former employer, who eventually threatened to sue her if she headhunted anyone else. I'm proud to say that our revenge-fueled efforts have taken so many of their good employees that the company is now openly failing and will soon go out of business. Well, that's all for this video. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.